Welcome, everyone, to Girl, How'd You Get That Gig? For my co-host, Celeste Gehring. I'm Amy G. Today's guest is one of my favorite people who's absolutely crushing it, blazing trails left and right. She's the Oakland A's play-by-play announcer and the first female primary play-by-play announcer in Major League Baseball. It is my pleasure to introduce my friend, Jenny Cavnar. Jenny Cavnar!
Hi, guys. How's it going?
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for joining
Geeking
us.
out. We're totally geeking out
Thanks.
here.
I know, we're kind
Thanks
of
for
geeking out.
having me. Oh, I'm geeking out because I listen to the pod, so I'm now on the pod. It's like a whole thing.
Yes, goals, right? Goals.
Goals.
Get on the
Hashtag
pod.
goals. I'm telling you, get on the pod.
So, Jenny, we want to start with your current and obviously now historic role as the A's primary play-by-play announcer. What can you share? The interview process, what that was like, and what will a day in the life for you look like now in this role?
Yeah, well, it's going to be crazy. That's for sure. It's going to be absolutely nuts as a working mom who is going to reside in Denver, Colorado, but be covering the Oakland A's. It's going to be a little crazy. But no, it was so exciting. And I think, Amy, looking back, and a lot about my career in the past and how this wasn't even on my radar. So to even be in this position where I got the opportunity in 2018 to first call a major league game, to then fast forward these couple years later of like, oh wait, like I can go interview for this job and this is a position that's open and they want me to come interview. Like, what is happening? And it pinched me. Like, this was not the career goals. So the fact that we're even here is pretty amazing. And going through the process, I had been talking to Devin Fox for a couple of years at NBC California about just some different NBC Sports California about a couple of different possibilities in the future, how things could intersect and align, since I was on the play-by-play track. And it came up that they had an opening this offseason. And simultaneously, the Colorado Rockies were dissolving their current, or what was their current, regional sports network. So it was a time for me that I felt like I was actually open to the idea of moving, because I'm a Colorado native. I felt like I was in a dream job. I was doing backup play-by-play. I was hosting a pre and post game show, we're raising our family here. I got my family here. But this was just an opportunity I couldn't pass up. So going through the interview process, it was at winter meetings. And then I went and I auditioned at NBC Sports California. And it's a place I've been several times, to visit Amy when she worked there, and some other friends that I have working there. So there's a lot of familiarity having worked in the National League West. And since they cover the Giants, with knowing a bunch of people over there. So that felt really comfortable. And then when I got the call that I was getting this job, it was like, whoa, what this is happening. It's not an idea anymore. Like, this is happening. And so then just having such a supportive husband who is like, no, we're going to make this work. You have to do this. It was really cool. And then the support just extends to our family. Like, my parents are on board, and I had to ask their permission, like a high schooler, to take this job, because they're going to be watching my kids so much this summer and helping us out. And then my wonderful in-laws as well, who live in California, they live in Stockton, so very close to Oakland, that the kids can come out and stay there when I have longer stints. And we're making it work. We're going to make it work. And it's a little chaotic, and it's a lot of planning, and it's a lot of mama stuff, as you know, but it's what we do. And I am just like, it's been a ride for sure these last couple months, sitting with this and like, this is it. And then now it's here. And then, all the other stuff that comes with it. It's a brand new organization for me, and it's a brand new team, and a team that, as you just mentioned in the game, has a lot of history that goes back to Kansas City and Philadelphia, and who knows what fourth city they're going to end up in, or possibly even a fifth city. So it's like there's this whole thing going on that you can just feel so overwhelmed by, but also the people in the organization have been so welcoming, so kind. The players are so great, and they're young. And I've been dealing with this in the Rockies organization for the last decade of, they haven't often made the playoffs. There's been a turnover, a rebuild, whatever you want to call it. And I've been able to kind of work on that craft of diving into young players and watching them grow in the game, and being able to share their stories, and kind of falling in love with that process. And so I'm so excited to get to now apply all of that to this brand new team for me in 2024 with the Oakland A's.
It's also exciting. And before we get really into your career path, how have you been able to handle the magnitude of your new
Yeah.
role? I mean, you've been on the Today Show.
Yeah, the media
Yeah.
side of this is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has. It's been pretty nuts. I think I had a very small sampling of it in 2018 when I first called a major league game, and that
Mm-hmm.
was a historic marker of that hadn't been done in 25 years for a female to call a
Mm-hmm.
major league baseball game on TV. And so we were really naive to what we were getting into there. And my colleague Ryan Spilborg, who I was calling the game with, just sent out a tweet that we were calling the game, and then all this, like, he sent out the tweet like 4 hours before the game, and then it was like, ooh, and all these people like started showing up at the game, and we had news cameras in the booth, and I'm like, I've never done this before. Like, let's just get through this, and
God,
then
I
we'll
have to
work
actually
on the
call
other.
the
Yeah,
game.
like
Yeah.
I know. I was like, what's happening? So I felt a little more prepared this time that
Mhm.
could happen, that could be something that happens, but not to the magnitude as you mentioned. I mean, the fact that like there was a very strange intersection of the announcement came on February 13th, and I was actually calling my first NBA game, and I was doing it on the radio for the Warriors on the 14th of February. And so again, that was like kind of the same feelings of like I'm doing something new for the first
Mhm.
time, and then getting bombarded in all these directions. So I just had to put my at one point in time and respond to all the text messages as I could and emails and social media. And I still feel like I'm catching up, and I want to get back to everybody because it's so nice that all these people have reached out, and just so blown away, so humbled by all of it. But then when I'm calling this NBA game for the first time, my agent's been texting me during the game like, you need to reroute your flight tomorrow. You're coming to New York. The Today Show wants an exclusive with you. And I'm like, I can't do this. Like, I'm
You're
just,
like,
what's happening? I felt like that weird guy in the wind,
you're all
It's like,
Steph,
Oh, windy
Steph,
dude.
Steph with the 3. Oh God. Okay, let's get on to
Seven with a three.
United.
What's going on? Yeah,
What's
yeah,
going on here?
exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. So
Oh my
that
gosh.
was those nuts. But like at some point in time too, you just like lean into it, right?
Yeah.
And you realize like I've worked really hard in my career for a really long time, and this job is going to be so amazing and so cool, and I'm so grateful for it. But there's also this obligation that it is this, like historic point, and we have to put out this message so that this visual is continually being seen for young girls, for that next generation, for
Mhm.
people to understand that women aren't going away in sports. They're
No.
getting they're getting more opportunities, and it's really, 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 really exciting to be a part of that conversation. So the Today Show was just so great. And you guys, I have to say, like what you watch is like you get even more of that in
Yeah.
person. It's
Yeah.
like they went to a commercial break. I walk into the studio and Hoda's like, she's going nuts, and like Craig chimes
Yeah.
in, and then like
Aw.
Carson Daly's walking by and
That's
chatting me up, and it's
awesome.
just like, oh my gosh, like you guys
Right.
do this all day every day, like on camera and off camera. That's a
Yep.
lot, and that's so cool that that's just who they are
Yes.
as people. So that was a really neat experience. And then just like getting closer and inching closer now to the season. It's like I have a job to do too.
I
Like
know.
this media has
I
been so fun.
know.
And then I have this job to do. So it's been a lot, like peel back the curtain. It's been a lot of late nights of like, I really want to cherish that time I'm with my kids right now, because I know it's going to be a big change for them. So it's like being present for them, but like listening to a podcast if they're like doing something else about the eighth. I'm like getting information, and
Mhm.
then it's get them to bed, and then get in my computer and do my notes and catch up on the news that day, or watch a baseball game or listen to a baseball game in the car. It's a lot of just mom
Right.
multitasking
Yeah.
at all points in time, and just trying to like soak up as much as I can. And
Yeah.
also like it's fear too, right? Like I think this is the first time in all the media I've done that I know Amy so well, and I know what you guys are about. So I want to be honest about that. Like there's a fear voice in my head that I have to constantly turn off like all day long. Like
Mhm.
accepting this, big job, and going back to that place of like, I know who I am, and I know what I can do, and I know I'm going to put in the work and work hard and just try and be myself. But like, there is a voice that's like, can you do this? Are you sure? Can you make it all work?
But
Can you
Jenny,
be everything for everybody? Like,
I'm gonna go mama on you right now.
yeah,
That
I know you are.
that
I know
that
you are.
that voice of fear is because you want to do well.
You
Fear
do, for sure.
isn't something to fear.
Right.
If it
Right.
wasn't there, I would worry. Like, do
Steve
you
tells me
have
this
this?
all the time. Steve tells me
Yeah.
that all the time. He's like, if
The
you weren't nervous, wouldn't you, or if you, that the
the
nerves are
fear, the
like the
nerves.
excitement of wanting to do it. Yeah. Yeah.
It also keeps you sharp. It keeps you focused. It's what gives you the adrenaline rush to be able to
You're
multitask and do
so
all
right.
the
You're
things that
so
you need
right.
to do. You have to embrace that. None of us have any fear for you. We know you're going to do fantastic. And I get that. Like, that doesn't always help because you're the one that has to do it. But also, the reason I think that it's happening with all these other things that are intersecting in your life is because you can't give it too much of your time and marinate it in
Right.
it too much, or you'll go crazy. So the
Right.
best things happen when you don't really have time to think about it because you're that good. And you're going to be
Well,
we're all so proud
thank
it's
you.
you. We're like,
Oh
Yeah.
gosh. Well, thank you.
yeah.
That means so much. And I think those words are like you constantly you need them. You need those reminders. We've all been there and we've done it and you can go back on your experience and know that. But
Mhm.
you're so right to a point as well. And I think you and I have talked about this before, but it's like just when you think like at moments in my career when I haven't had time to think about it because other things have been happening personally, right? So I get pregnant and I'm about to have my first baby, and this is a whole new thing, and I'm going to get used to having this baby, and then all of a sudden, like 6 months into having a baby, they're like, "You're going to call a Major League
Yeah.
Baseball game," and I'm like, "Yes, I am." So like, how am I going to like pump? Well, I'm calling a Major League Baseball game because when you're calling the pre and post game show, you can do that in between. But like,
A little
how's
time.
how's that going to happen? So now I'm like thinking more about like my biological state
Yeah,
than
right.
like my ability to be able to go do this job. And like
Yeah.
that was crazy. And like I'm learning to be a mom, and now I'm gonna just learn to do this whole new thing in my career and do play by play. And then, like I have Emery, and I'm like, well, okay, now we have two kids, and how are we ever going to make this work? And how am I going to work? And oh, by the way, my husband's now going to Fire Academy because we're going to start a new career for him. And then it's like you when you just don't have time to think, all these other things are happening in your career, and it's crazy how life works that way. It is absolutely crazy. But I'm always a big believer. And now it's time to practice what you preach. So like God will never give you more than you can handle. And so
Yeah.
I guess we're just gonna handle. We're just gonna handle it, with his help, but we're gonna handle it.
Well, and one of the smartest things you've done is surround yourself with a supportive cast. And that's what
so
you have
many.
to do when you're a working mom. And I want to go back because I know there's this connection with your dad with sports.
Oh, yeah,
And so we kind of want to
totally.
like go backwards now
Yeah.
into, you growing up and your connection with your dad, loving sports. What did you play? When do you first kind of remember loving athletics?
Yeah. I love that. I think for me, always looking back, it was like I felt born into it in a way because my dad was a high school baseball coach. And so from day one, like all these memories I have of being young was like at the field with him, going to his games. And then eventually it was going to my brother's games. And then it was eventually starting my own games and, playing. I definitely played baseball at the baseball camps, and that transitioned into softball. And then I played basketball as well. And by the time I got into high school, lacrosse was becoming pretty big in Colorado. So I picked up a lacrosse stick and ended up playing lacrosse in college and fell in love with that sport. But always loved watching sports. My dad and I watched Monday Night Football together. It was kind of our thing. And that's when I first saw Melissa Stark on the sideline of Monday Night Football in the late 90s and thought, wow, like that's what I want to do, And my dad, I'll never forget him just being like, yeah, I can see you doing that.
You can do that.
Well, yeah, you go do that. That sounds like a great job. And just so both of us so naive to like, oh yeah, okay. But I think too, like, I mean,
can I do it, Dad?
Are we sure? Now looking back, I'm like, wow,
is that allowed yet?
Yeah,
right.
That's pretty bold. But I think for like both of my parents, I've had a lot of time to reflect on that, growing up in that environment and both having, working parents, and they had to figure it out all the time. And my grandparents were involved. And, I'm so grateful that like my mom, I don't know how she did it. She worked, she figured out a way to like cook all the time and then get us to practice somehow and be at our games. And my dad was coaching, and then somehow he would show up. Like you never know how everyone has time to do everything. And now we're in that mix. And, my mom is still like giving up retirement to help me raise my kids. And it's just, I'm so grateful for both of them and their love for us and their desire to, want to see us succeed and want to see us live out our passion. And yeah, it's so great. But yeah, I think that's where my love of sports came from. I also think this is fun from a female perspective, but my dad's mom, she grew up the oldest of 9 in Kentucky. So they were diehard Kentucky basketball fans, and she's the only one that left. So when we grew up here in Colorado, she would have the Cats on every Saturday, and like I fell in love with the Kentucky Wildcats growing up, and I would go visit her sisters, and we would go to basketball games together, and I'd call them, we'd talk about the Cats, and I just found like a bunch of old memorabilia that I had saved from the 90s when they won. But those are cool moments because I never realized it in the time, like, oh, these women are teaching me about sports, but like these women were huge sports fans and still are. And so I think that just kind of like oozed in to my existence too.
I love Kentucky. Yeah.
Go ahead.
You do?
I do. I played basketball at LSU,
do?
but we would go to Kentucky and play, and there is not. Yeah, I love Kentucky. It's great.
Well, I was just going to add
baby,
the grandparent side of all of it, because my grandma's who I first like remember a female loving baseball, right? Unfortunately, she loved the Dodgers, but I forgave her and saw the bigger picture. But you think about, she was born in like 1923, so I don't know, and she didn't play sports, but she knew more about baseball than any guy. It was and it was all she talked about when she would visit. It was her Dodgers.
That's
like,
that's so great. Yeah. Now, my father-in-law, his mom had these bobbleheads, and he still has them, like the old school ceramic ones. And one was a Dodger bobblehead and one was a Giants bobblehead. And his dad was from Pasadena, so he was a big Dodger fan, but they grew up over in Stockton, so she was a Giants fan. And then she would turn the bobbleheads, I think, to face the window, depending on like if they won or lost, or their back would be facing. So when he came home from school, a lot of day baseball was happening back then. He knew who won the game. And I was like, that's so funny. Cool. Like, right?
I was gonna say, did she put
another?
I wish she put the Dodger bobblehead in the corner, like facing the corner, like it was in trouble, like on a timeout.
Or just like face down,
face down.
Yeah. Have the giant bobblehead pushing the Dodger bobblehead.
I joke. I tease. Everybody, we love baseball. That's the bigger picture.
Now, Jenny, you mentioned Melissa Stark, and dare I say, you lit up a little bit there. So can you tell us a little bit about your girl crush on Melissa Stark, and have you met her?
I know. I have never met her. I think I messaged her on Instagram one time, which was cool. And you know what I think is so cool about her? This is kind of why I lit up, is because her name is still relevant in the game of not just sports, but obviously in football. And she went back the sidelines, and now she's on Sunday Night Football. And I'm like, that was 30 years ago. I mean, 25 years ago. And she's found a way, even through, I think she has 4 kids maybe, but she found a way through like, going through motherhood and staying involved in sports and then getting back to her passion. I think that's inspiring in and of itself to stay consistent in the game, find a way to reinvent yourself, Amy, and some other friends of ours in the business, as we all continue to age. I don't know why we're not reverse aging, but we continue to go one direction. We've talked a lot about this idea the last couple of years of like, how do you stay in the game? How do you find new passions? How do you keep growing in this like, brand and this identity that you've been given in your career life? And so I find that really inspiring to see women that are, still doing sports television specifically as they age.
I think,
and she doesn't seem to age, by the way.
I know, she looks so good. I know
she does.
Cool.
I know, Melissa. What inspires me so much about her is the fact that she came back. Not just that she came back, but she came back and she was older. So what that does is, here we are saying, what little girls are seeing with Jenny and what you're doing. And if you can see it, you can be it. And we didn't used to have that. Now what we're seeing as for me and Celeste, older women in the business, that you're not out because you got older. I mean,
so true.
You're still facing it for sure, but it gives you some hope that age isn't determining how long you can be in this business anymore. And there's several women that are following that path. And, as a 50-year-old woman, I'm like, oh, okay. You're kind of back to that conversation with your dad. Like, yeah, you can do it. It doesn't matter how old you are.
You can do it.
Go ahead.
Right. Yeah. You can keep it moving. Well, priorities have shifted, right? We're not just putting women on TV because they look great. Like, they sound great too. And they know a lot about what they're talking about. And they have great relationships in the game, and they're, presenting that to fans. And it's just like, we've created a different, like, maybe that's a reason why women started getting on television in sports. I think that one of the very first, females on a football, a Miss America pageant winner. So there was a reason, why that felt like a fit for them. And so then now it's like, we've utilized that. However the door opened, it opened. And now it's like, let's grow and let's continue to push the door open, and then continue the conversation and continue to prove, there's more reasons why women are on TV or on the radio or on podcasts or just crushing the game in front and behind the camera. So it's cool.
So a big emphasis of the podcast, Jenny, is education and this path that we're trying to show anyone who wants to work in the sports industry, how you got there, how any of our guests got to the gig that they have, and education, and how much education is something that we always try and discuss. So give us a little overview of, I know you went to Colorado State, what you majored in. Yeah, go Rams. I know. Alana's going to love this podcast with what I've said about the Dodgers, and now we're talking about your rival college. Yeah. Sorry, Alana, we love you. We'll have you on soon. We'll have you on soon.
Sorry.
But your path with education, and then I know you interned, so it makes a little more sense now, because I did not know the University of Kentucky connection. Now it makes sense. So what you did for an internship, will you give us that overview?
Yeah. Well, first of all, because I went to Colorado State, I feel like the A's and I are just really like on the same path now. I'm just all green and gold, all about the green and gold.
You were prepping. You were prepping.
I was
for
prepping.
You didn't even know.
Look at my couch. My couch is green, for crying out
loud.
So I did go to Colorado State, but I got great advice from my older brother early on. He was 2 years older, and he was at Pepperdine. And he called me. I'll never forget this. He called me, probably like rotary dialed my dorm phone or something, pre-cell phone days, and said, "What are you doing for your internship this summer?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about? Internship?" I'm like, "I'm going to go home. I'm going to live off mom and dad. I'm going to go to the pool." Yep. Yeah. Like, what are we talking about?
All the important things.
What are we talking about here? Yeah. And he's like, "I saw this flyer on campus that the Fox lot is like doing this internship thing, and you should apply for it." And I was like, "Oh, like that could be cool. Okay." So I just like applied for this job and somehow got it. And I have no idea how, and like decided I was going to move to California for the summer and hang out with him and like live with my aunt and like go do this internship. So I get on the Fox lot, and it didn't really have anything to do with sports. It was more about this guy, like, read a lot of scripts and then decided what they were going to produce. But he has become such an influential person in my life. He still texts me to this day. And I'll never forget a meeting I had in his office. His name is Amy Gutierrez. And he said to me, "What do you want to do in this business?" And I was like, "Oh, I want to be a sports reporter." And he just laughed. He like laughed out loud. And I was like, "Why are you laughing?" And he was like, "Well, I don't know. Like, you really think you can do that?" And I was like, Yeah, I think I could do that.
My dad said I could.
Yeah. My dad said I could do that. So then he was like kind of the first person that was like, "Yeah, okay, good luck." And I'm like, "Oh, I thought you were just like be helping me." So it was just so funny. That conversation stuck out to me so much. And like every turn in my career, he'll randomly text me and be like, "I knew you could do it."
Oh, yeah.
Just kind of like winks, like, because he knew he said that I couldn't. Yeah, he knew he said that I couldn't. So that was like a really good introduction to just like being in the business, right? Whether it was sports or not. And went back to school and was like, all right, I have to get experience on camera, like get involved. So I got involved in the campus TV station and went and got a job at the Clear Channel radio station. And I was like, beg, borrow, and steal, like, "Oh yeah, I will work for free. I'll do anything." Like, "Well, we have to pay you." And I was like, "Okay, great. I'll take $1 an hour, like whatever you want to pay me." And I was like their marketing person. I was like making these stickers for the college football games to hand out. I was pitching that I would do a high school show, and I was like running around town and like interviewing all these high school coaches and trying to put this little show together. I was podcasting before podcasting. Right. That's how I like to think about it.
There you
go. Yeah, I was doing anything. I would beg to get on the air during the, college football Saturday. So I created this like fan in the stands interview, and I'd go interview like a parent of the running back or something, and just anything, whatever, to get experience. So that was kind of my sophomore year. And then I got an internship in Denver at one of the TV stations as a sports intern. Logged a lot of tape, which was great. Like watched all the Rockies games, logged like every pitch, every home run. Did all the intern stuff, and then just kept back at it. So now I'm going back to school. I want to, have my own show this year, and just kind of setting these goals. And then I interned at I worked at the University of Kentucky the next summer in the athletic department, and I interned at a TV station there, and lived with my aunts out there, and did that for a whole summer. Got some good experience there, and then really just like stayed at it. I had met, this is super random, but I met this mentor. Her name is Stacy Pressman. She used to write for ESPN, the magazine. And she went out that same summer I was in Kentucky and did a feature on one of the Colorado State football players. And he says to her, like, "Oh, I think my friend Jenny wants to do what you do. Like, can I give her your business card?" So he gave it to me, and I emailed her, and we stayed in contact. And she knew I had played lacrosse, and it just so happened that her friend was producing our lacrosse championship. And she said to him, like, "You should put this girl on air, like as a student reporter." And so he did. And it ended up kind of being this tryout for me that I didn't even know I was having my senior year while I'm finishing up lacrosse, for college sports television, which is now basically what CBS Sports has become. So they flew me out to New York right after my senior year. I interviewed, and I got the national sideline reporter job for college football. And I was like doing this. I was like, walking down the aisles, like I made it. All that hard work paid off, all those internships. I got a national job. I'm going to move to LA. I'm big time. I'm on a plane. 2 weeks into the season, they're like, "Oh, we've over budgeted for everything. You're actually laid off, along with like 6 cameras and this, that, the other." And you're like, "Oh my gosh, what?" Come again?
Sorry. That wasn't part of my plan.
No.
Yeah, that was not part of the plan at all. So it was like this huge pinnacle of like, I did all this. Yes, we made it, to like, oh my gosh, plan B. I don't have that. So let's create it on the fly. And ended up like sending my tape back out to a billion places, and got a job in Flint, Michigan. And was like, one of these things does not look like the other. Like this national job living in Los Angeles does not look like Flint, Michigan weekend reporter. But here we go. So I
destination location. Yeah.
Destination location. I moved to Flint, Michigan. I drank the water. I'm not sure that's going to work out for me later in my life, but I lived there for almost a year, had an opportunity to coach lacrosse at UCLA. So I was like, I'm going to take it. I'm going to take that exit. And I'm glad I did it, because it was awesome to coach. I learned so much. I really enjoyed it. But looking back, like every day, I just wished I was doing TV, and I wished I had a way to get back in, and I missed it. And so I think that's where I really learned that this is a passion of mine, and I really want to be doing it. And I need to like get back into it somehow and work for that. So I did a lot of random side jobs, and, kind of progressed to the fact that I got an interview in San Diego in 2007. And that's when I first got hired in baseball, and it was awesome. It was, again, not what I expected. I set out to be a sideline reporter for football, and here I am finding myself in the baseball world. And I'll never forget my interview with my then boss, and he asked if I knew how to keep score, and I was like, "What? Like, don't I really know how to keep score? Like, that's just what you know." Because I just thought everyone knew how to keep score, since that's how I grew up. And we just talked baseball, and he hired me. He hired a green reporter who just happened to know baseball, and I'm really glad he did. And so my first year was 2007 with the Padres. And I think the first series was against the Dodgers, and it was this crazy crowd. And I was getting ready for my first pregame hit down on the field. And I just remember being like, this is what I was made to do. Like, I can't wait to do this. This is going to be awesome. So that was the beginning.
Yay.
What I love about your story is like everything led into the next event. And Amy and I talk about this all the time in this podcast where we say, try a little bit of everything because you don't really know what you're going to love to do. And
it's
just,
so true.
you know, coaching lacrosse and then going back into baseball, but identifying what you love to do really speaks volumes to our audience. So all of you listening out there, again, take note of, hey, you're going to find your passion, you will find it, and then, you know, beeline towards that direction.
Yeah. Yes. And I know you guys have talked about this so many times on your podcast because I've heard it, but it's the most important thing I think to hear is that there's no linear path in this career, right? And that's why you're doing this is like everyone, there's not a like, here's the roadmap. There's more of a like, here's a choose your own adventure. And you know, the upside down, it's gonna flip over. You're gonna be shuffling pages, but like you'll get there. It's just you gotta go. You gotta get started. You gotta meet people. You gotta network. You gotta like do all the things.
Say yes. You gotta say yes to the opportunities. Yep. Yeah.
Say yes. Absolutely.
So I met Jenny. I mean, I met you early on in your career with the Padres. I vividly remember meeting you at winter, like hanging with you at winter meetings after the Giants won in 2010. And only because, and Alana will appreciate this. So all the West reporters had a cocktail, Celeste.
Oh no, that was 14. That was after 14.
No, this was, well, here's what I remember about the winter meetings was we have a drink. We all really like each other, all the girls from the West.
Yeah.
And Alana says, let's take a picture. And okay. And then she says, let's line up in order of finish. And the Dodgers had won the division, but the Giants won the World Series.
Right.
So
that's like, why she did it.
In what order exactly?
Yeah. No, I remember it was 14 because it was in 14. San Diego. Okay. And it was like that was the
it was San Diego.
We knew she said that because the Dodgers won, but then I was like, but Amy's won 3 World Series.
Yeah. Basically. I'm like, where should I go? Where should I line up?
With all my rings, where should I line up?
I'm sorry. This hand's really heavy. I'm gonna hold it down.
I'm just gonna hold it down here in the front of the picture.
But I met Jenny because she was covering the Padres coming to San Francisco and all this. So we've been friends for a long time. And it was really fun when you got to go back to Colorado and you were home and you were still doing in-game reporting. So let's get to play-by-play because as you already mentioned, you filled in 2018, first female to do so in 25 years. It was really big news. What led up to that? Where were you regarding changing your role? Or was this just like, hey, our person it was a guy, our guy can't do it today. We need you to fill in. And then you started thinking about this path, or were you thinking about that prior?
Yeah. So I think in 2015, I got the chance to fill in on radio. So the radio guys were like, hey, we're in a bind this weekend. Like, it'd be really cool if you came on the radio. And I was like, oh, okay. Like out of my comfort zone, but let's go. Let's roll. So we did it. Say yes to everything.
Say yes.
It'll get you in this predicament right here. So I'm like, oh, like this is cool. And I think it was the first time that Ryan Spielborgs and Corey Sullivan, who used to play Major League Baseball and were now my colleagues on television, they're like, why wouldn't you do it? Like we talk baseball all the time. We're doing the pre-post game show, like in between the pre and post game show, we're just literally talking about baseball while we're watching it. Like, just go do that on the radio. I was like, oh, all right, cool.
Wait, really fast. So did you fill in as a color analyst or play-by-play?
Yeah, so I was the analyst. Yeah, I was a play-by-play.
So,
I was just as an analyst, like, you know,
color, and then a little bit of an easier transition, I think, from in-game reporter to color analyst.
Yes,
versus 100%. Play-by-play. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. So they just had me do that. But I was like, oh, like this is cool. This is like a different look, a different view. And we started kind of trying different things then like the next year in baseball. And Allison Vigil, my great producer who we've had her on the pod. She's amazing. She's like, yeah, like we need to figure out a fill in for Drew Goodman, who only takes about 10 to 15 games off a year. And let's just do that internally. Let's just get creative. Like Jenny, let's have you call a game. You know, Spilly and Corey, why don't you guys do an analyst only broadcast? Like, let's go for this. And so that kind of we started talking about maybe 2017. And then I called the game at spring training in 2018, which was my first time like doing it. And then they let me know like a day before in 2018 when I was going to call my first game. And so it felt like a little like pusher off the cliff. And it also felt a lot like we've been talking about this for a really long time. Like it's time to do it. And so, I don't think I ever would have sat there and been like, I desire to end up being a play-by-play person.
Yeah.
But because Allison said, we're going to try this, and I trust her with my life. And she's like my guru in this business of just like pointing me in a direction and believing in me and pushing me to excel and all those things. I was like, yeah, okay, if she believes that we can do this, and then these guys are backing it up, like they're on board and they're ready to try something new and they trust that I'm going to be the one to do that with them, and like, let's go. It felt way more like a team effort than you're going to do this. It felt like, we're going to do this. And that was really cool. And then I think after that, it was like, all right, well, now I need practice. Like we're doing this, but like, how do I get practice, and how do I get reps, and how do I go? And so luckily we had a college basketball package that they put me on that fall or that winter. So I started my college basketball play-by-play journey, which I loved. I mean, I grew up loving basketball, as we've talked about, and it was really cool to, dive in and do the Mountain West Conference, which was a conference I'd covered since I was at Colorado State. So a lot of the coaches I knew, or the old assistant coaches when I was in school, were now head coaches. And so I felt like that relational aspect that I knew of in broadcasting, I could bring that into that game and then just grow. And so getting the reps was so important. And then just trying to grow little by little, like every year with whatever I was given in baseball. And then it became this shift of like, this is cool, but I need to get better at it. And I want to do it, to like, I have to do this. Like, this is now an obligation in my career to do this, because like there's other women doing it that have reached out to me. Melanie Newman was one of them in 2018. She was at the minor league level calling games, and she reached out and she's like, it was so awesome that you did that, because now that dream is like a reality for us. And she got the job with the Baltimore Orioles. Yep. She got the job with Apple, and like she got to Major League Baseball to do it. And I've realized like that desire and that passion to want to do it was there, but it was also then this like, this has to happen somehow. And I have the keys to the car right now. I gotta figure out a way to drive it. Absolutely. Yeah. Yes. And so I think that was kind of a motivating factor at that point. And it's funny, you guys, because I had a conversation looking back, and I've been meaning to send her an email. I'm going to do it this week now that we're here. But Lori Orlando was with ESPN for a very long time as a decision maker, right? And I know you guys talked with Allison about this on your podcast, about how we need decision makers who are in positions of power, that are either women or, thinking that direction, to get this to happen, right? To get these wheels in motion. And Lori was at ESPN for a long time as a talent director, and I had a meeting with her. And I remember her asking me if I ever wanted to do play-by-play. And I just was like, oh, I don't know. And she's like, well, if you do, like, practice, get some stuff on tape, send it to me. Like, I'm going to start getting some women voices on games. Like, this was like, I don't know, 2008, 2009. Like, and there were already some women voices in games. Beth Mullins was calling games. Pam Oliver called games for a while on the college football, college basketball level. And I was like, wow, looking back, like she was already trying to push that direction and trying to plant that seed for me. And I wasn't ready to like take the bait on it yet, but I'm so glad looking back that we even had that conversation, and that she was putting women in that position to not only have an opportunity, but she really wanted to give them a ground to try to succeed as well. So I thought that was cool looking back.
And what is it about play-by-play that you love so much? And what are the challenges that are involved with it too? Because unless you are really in the booth and understand it, it is so much information going on. It's so much research.
Yeah.
It is just, I've just seen people in the booth or been part of the booth where I'm in awe of all of you to be able to retain that information, or to integrate other information that's coming through during the game, and kind of like process it and spit it back out.
Right.
What do you love about it, and what's challenging for you?
Well, I think that's it. I love the culmination of your work, right? Like the research part, like you're researching, you have so much going on in baseball specifically. I'll say there you have stats, you have personal history, you have anecdote storylines. And I think I will always bring in with me how I grew up in this business. And that was as a reporter, as a sideline reporter, and then as a host. And so I haven't really shed those titles. So I still love those things. I love stories that bring the viewer closer to a player to keep them engaged and involved in the game. And I love talking to players, and I love that relationship that I build with them. And so I think I continue to do that. And a lot of play-by-play people do, and some don't. It's just, preference of how they like to get ready for a game. But I love being able to have all that work that you've done, and then in the game, where you can pull from, like the info from, to make something happening on the field make sense. Just that like aha moment in your brain of like, oh, I know where to take this story, or, something this player's been working on, and then it happens, and now I get to talk about it, and all these people that have helped this person, and, spin that into a conversation. But I think I love too, the analysts that you work with. For me, it's really about them. They're the ones that played the game. They're the ones that see the game in a very specific way. And it's being able to really know and understand what makes them tick, what they like to talk about, how they like to see the game, and be able to set them up best. And so like going into this job with the Oakland A's and switching partners, like now it's my time to like get to know that about Dallas Braden. And that's really exciting for me because Dallas and I have had a very long relationship. I mean, my husband grew up with him in Stockton, and they were very good friends. And so as long as I've known my husband, I've known Dallas as a friend, and he was a player back when I met him. And then, we've talked since he got into broadcasting, and we talk baseball all the time. And it's like, we've kind of already practiced this and what it's going to look like. And now we get to execute it and see how it's going to all work out. So I do love that. I think the scariest thing for me, and this goes like basketball, baseball, whatever, is like pronouncing names and making sure to say someone's name correctly. Basketball, sometimes you get a team where it's like all these foreign players on a college basketball team. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And you're having to say their name, and like they're passing to each other, and learning them quick and all that.
Certain parts of the world too, like Eastern European, and it's always like, oh man, I don't even want to try that. Well, and I just realized we've been saying Allison's last name wrong the whole time, so you're not alone. We were saying Vigil, and you said Vigil. Sorry, Allison.
Didn't correct you.
Yes, you didn't say anything.
She didn't correct you. I think I called her Allison Vigil when I first met her too, so it's okay. I'm sure it's a common mistake.
It's pretty normal. Yeah. I love that you're with Dallas in that relationship, because that's such a great fit, and it's going to give you a sense of comfort in this new adventure, which will definitely shine through the broadcast. When you first started getting more games, what was the response like? I mean, I know our little crew, we were like jumping through hoops. Yeah. Was it all positive? Have you had negative responses? And if so, how do you deal with that? Because we really try and prepare women, especially who are getting into sports, for the downside of it, which is getting critiqued very harshly.
I am so like, this job couldn't have come for me in my 20s or my 30s, right? Like I just wasn't comfortable in my own skin to like do that. And now I think I know so much more about experience has taught me so much more about who you can trust in your world and who you gather to get that information and that feedback from. And if Joe Schmo in his basement like had something to say about my voice or my hair or how I call a game, like that's on him, right? If Allison has something to say to me, then I'm going to listen to that because I trust her feedback, right? Yes. So there's a group of people that I trust that they're going to tell me the truth. I trust that they're not going to blow smoke up my wazoo all the time, and that we're going to be able to like get better from. That's how you get better. But me reading Instagram comments is not going to help me get better, but thank you for chiming in, positive or negative, right? Like, so I think when we first started calling games, it was so different. Like, it doesn't matter if it was me or if it was a man, it wasn't Drew Goodman. And so for people, especially in baseball, you know this more than anyone with the San Francisco Giants, you get very used to one or two people calling games every single night for 6 months. That's the voice, that's the background of your summer. It's the voice that's in your living room. It's the people that you feel like you have a relationship with. And when it's not them, what? Change? Who is this?
We
So
don't like
you're already up against
change.
that. We don't like change. So you're already up against that. And then you change the fact that the voice is totally different because it's a female and the perspective is different because how I grew up in the game versus, how I see it. So I kind of learned all those things early. And then Kate Scott, who is just so phenomenal. I know you know her from the Bay Area. She calls games for the Philadelphia 76ers, one of the first female voices in the NBA. And she just gave me this great advice of like, whatever the comments are, and there's always going to be comments, those people are dealing with their own conflict and their own set of circumstances that they've grown up with, and you're in their way. And the comment is coming because of what they're dealing with. And so that's so hard to understand. What a hard concept, right? How do you explain that to a 20-year-old when you're talking about reading comments on social media? Like, that's a really hard concept to get, but it's so true when you grasp it of like, I just have to go and do the work and be myself. And people are either going to like that or get to like that, or they're not going to like that. And I can't change their mind. I can't change who I am because they don't like it. Right. That's the business we're in. How many times do you watch a show and you find yourself either like loving it and you try to talk to your friends about it and like someone's like, oh, I hated that. It's like your own personal preference, right? Totally. You can't change it. You can't change the way they like view a show or you view a show. So I feel like you have to find confidence in who you are and why you got a job and just go back to that place, and the noise will always be the noise.
Oh, it's always going to be there. I know.
Noise.
I just told my trainer this morning, Jake, he was cleaning up after our workout and he said, oh, Amy G, I just try and make everybody happy. And I said, oh, you know what, Jake, I'll know that you've made it when you say, I can't make everybody happy. Like it's such a different, right? And we're about 10 years apart in age. I'm older. And that was my immediate response was the second you get to a level of, I am never going to please everyone. And that's not the job that I'm hired to do because of all the things that you just said. It's so subjective. It's personal. You don't know what people are going through. It sucks that they like to take it out on you. We get to be their punching bag for certain things, but it's a very healthy, like, let it go mentality when you can get there and say, I'm going to actually do what makes me happy.
Right. That Elsa from Frozen was really onto something. That's the stage of life we're in with an almost 3-year-old over here.
She's kind of repeat on my playlist for a
let
long
it go.
time.
Let it go.
Just let it go. Let it go, girl.
So true.
Okay, let's fast forward a little bit.
Yeah.
In 2021, you became the first female to be named Colorado Sportscaster of the Year. What was getting that news like for you?
That was cool. I didn't even know like I was up for this award. And then I started getting messages about it and I was like, oh, wow, that's awesome. I think it's cool because it's your peers that vote on it. So to me, it goes back and this is kind of something I guess I wanted to say before is like you have this obligation in your work to like find your North Star, find who you are in calling a game. But like, I want to make sure that the players I'm calling the game about are happy. And I want to make sure that my bosses are happy, right? Like that's my audience and fans are a part of that. And I want to engage with them. And I want to make sure like, that all of that comes together. But for me, getting an award like that, it's your peers are recognizing your hard work, your achievements, your desire to be one of the best in your business. And so I think that's why it's so meaningful. It's like, they set out and voted that, that award.
It's
so that's cool.
So special. It's so special to be recognized by your peers. Okay. Just a couple more and then we got to let you go. I know you've got 2 kiddos waiting to talk to mama. How do you, this is always one of my favorite questions to ask, especially of a mom. How do you handle the days that you do not feel like being on? In the big picture, this is entertainment. You do not have a chance to really let people behind the scenes and know what is going on personally in your life. When you go to the park, they expect you to entertain them. And it's not easy to do 162 times. So what's your key?
Yeah. I think to your point too, is like, there is no switch. Like when you go to the ballpark, right? And you were in the fishbowl of this. Like when you're in the booth, you can hide away a little bit, but like you can't just flip it on for the camera. Like you're around fans who know you, want to talk to you, want to talk about the team, and they're watching you. And so I think it's just finding, again, going back to that passion of, loving what you do and enjoying it. And I think what makes me so excited about this year, and as challenging as it's going to be, is like I've been able to create this schedule that like I'm going to be on the road a lot with the team. And so when I'm gone and I'm away from home, I'm like, I'm working and I'm there and I'm diving into it. And then when I come home to Colorado, when the Oakland A's are at their home at the Coliseum for this year, like I'm going to be home with my kids. Like, am I going to be watching the games? Absolutely. And still researching, doing work, but like I'm going to be home, and I'm not dropping my son off in the morning and telling him goodbye and have a great day at school. And so-and-so's picking you up, and so-and-so has dinner with you, and so-and-so's putting you to bed, and mommy will see you in the morning. And I love you, because I have to go to the ballpark now for a home game. And so this schedule is like, I'm going to be doing 95 road games. But it's way less than the 140, 145 total games I did. And so I think in theory, we're trying to find this balance, and it's going to be crazy and it's not going to be perfect. And I understand all of that, but I'm very excited for that, because I think that balance then feeds back to your soul of like trying to center your passions. And so then when you are at the ballpark, you can be that person and you can give that energy to it. But you're right. It's a lot. It's a lot of energy. And there are days that like, listen, baseball's a grind, right? Like it doesn't matter if you're doing 95 of them, 162 of them, you're traveling, you're there, you're every day. And for the players, it's a grind. And like, that and you see that and you're trying to be empathetic of that. And you just have to find a way to dig deep some days, dig deep. And I think in the past, like that'll be interesting too this year, to find out who your people are, who can pull that out of you. Right. Because I've usually had Allison, and she usually will be like, you're not in it today and we're going to get you in it. And she'll make me go do a workout with her. She'll make me go get a coffee, or like she knew what I needed to shift gears. And so, now I need Dallas and I know each other so well as, friends, but now I need to be his teammate on the road and he needs to be mine, and find that like, all right, you're not feeling it today. Like, what can we do to get you going, and that's part of it. And that's, that's
cool.
Cool.
I'll drive down to Oakland and bring you a coffee.
I would love that.
I will do
or
that.
Wine, let's be honest.
Well,
sometimes you
don't really know what's in the water cup.
Okay, sure.
Nobody needs to know.
Sure.
Jenny, you've talked so much about like having supportive people around you, but what is your key for staying so positive and being supportive for other men and women in the business?
Oh gosh, I think it's just like that fuels me, right? That's kind of my love language, so to speak, I guess, is being able to have those relationships and be a cheerleader for other people. I've had so many people do that in my life, and I think it's a two-way street, and I just love that. I love finding and being a champion for other people in our business. I think it makes us all stronger. I think Amy and I, and probably you, Celeste, grew up in a time in this business where there was a lot of competition amongst females, and there wasn't a lot of friendship and a lot of relationship. And so getting to a place and a point where it's like, there's space for all of us, and we can all be here to encourage each other, and, to just be a listening ear for each other, be a tribe for each other. So I find that like wanting to be that person that's like bringing people into our fold and keep growing. And I've found, because my dad was a teacher, and the education background in our family of like, when those guys, when Corey and Spilly transitioned from being players with the Rockies to then eventually doing broadcasting, like being able to teach them about television and like bring them into this TV life and encourage them in their career. And I'm like, I could see wanting to do that like later in life, helping athletes transition into a different phase of life that they can find a new passion for. So I think that's it. It's just, we can all give each other a little love, a little encouragement. It makes the world a better place, right?
It does. Mm-hmm. All right, we're going to wrap up with this one and then let you go. Just your best.
More quizzing?
No quizzes. You aced the quiz. You got an A. And you've kind of mentioned this throughout the conversation, but if you were to sum it up, just your best piece of advice for somebody wanting to work in sports.
Yeah. I always try to go back to these P's. I've kind of come up with this. So like, you definitely have to have a passion to be in this business. There's no doubt about it. It's strange hours. It's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of sacrifice, and not just sacrifice on yourself, but sacrifice around your people. When you're younger, that's maybe missing out on certain family events because you're working during entertainment hours. Or as you get older, that's, having a family and having just kind of a different than a 9-to-5 schedule that you have to adjust and all work around. So definitely a passion. And then I think it's just finding your purpose and the drive in that. We talked about saying yes a lot. And sometimes that means you might be saying yes to something that you're not super crazy about, but you find something in that job that gives you a skill set or, gives you a baseline to like get to the next level or to build a relationship with somebody that will down the road, help you find some success in something you want to have success in. And then I think preparation is the biggest P in all of it. This is not a job that you just show up to and you get to put on a happy face and, sound like the greatest thing in America. Like, it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of research. It takes a lot of relationship building. Yep. It takes a lot of just doing it, just practicing, getting better, finding confidence, all those things. So the P's. That's my advice.
I like it.
Love it.
That was always one of my favorite Instagram or Twitter, we go way back, comments was, so, do you come up with the questions that you ask the player yourself, or is somebody's probably telling you what to ask, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I just sit there. I put on really cute clothes and then I come to the ballpark.
No, I show up at 6:45.
Wait for people to come talk to me. And then the producer tells me what to say and I just repeat it.
It's my favorite. Great. Yeah. Great. I love that one. Jenny.
That's how you do that job.
Thank you.
No, you're the best,
Thank
girl.
You
we
guys.
love you so much.
Yes, you're amazing.
So proud of you.
Yes, so proud of you.
So proud of you. Yes. So thank you for taking the time. You've been listening to Girl, How'd You Get That Gig with hosts Amy G and Celeste Gehring. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on YouTube and follow us on Instagram. The handle is @GirlGigPodcast. Followers and subscribers are automatically entered to win our giveaway prizes, announced every other Wednesday on our Instagram page. Until our next episode, go get that gig.